Nakikita yung slides?
Yes po, Doc.
I think it's better if I put it in slideshow. Okay, so actually, no, sa RPD kasi, the one which is recommended for yung before, I'm not sure if there have been changes in the board exams, no? So, ang recommended nilang book kasi is yung McCracken. It's Removable Prosthodontics by McCracken. I'm not sure kasi wala na yata si Dr. Paragas, who is the prosto among the wala na rin si Dr. Melinda Garcia. Yun yung mga prosto dun sa board exams. They've been changed already. So, tawag dito, baka iba na rin yung recommended nilang books, no? But dati, even during our times, no, yung book that we're using was McCracken, or Prosthodontics by McCracken. Okay, so just to give you an overview of what is the required textbook for the board exams, no. Yun lang, you check if there have been changes in the textbook. Okay? So okay naman ang sound. It's okay. Okay, so let's go to prosthodontics, no? Removable partial prosthodontics or removable partial dentures. Okay, so anybody who can, how do we differentiate prosthodontics from prosthetics and prosthesis? We have, these are some of the terms that is used in prosto, no? So you have the term prosthodontics, and you're familiar with what is prosthodontics. Anybody who remembers, anong difference ng prosthodontics from prosthetics and prosthesis? Wala lang nakakaalala? Nobody remembers? Okay, the science, no, which replaces any missing body parts in order to replace that missing part and perform that function is called prosthetics. So if you have an artificial eye, you have an artificial heart, the science, or artificial leg, it's called, the science is prosthetics. The artificial device which replaced that missing part is prosthesis or prosthesis. So so if you have an artificial leg, that's a prosthesis. Anything which is artificial, di ba, we call it a prosthesis, no? If you want, the science is prosthetics. Even yung mga pag-Halloween, di ba, they use prosthesis to make that person look like a vampire or something, no? That's a prosthesis. And the science is called prosthetics. If you want to be specific to dentistry, then the term now is called prosthodontics. Alam naman natin, we know, di ba? Dontics is tooth. Kaya nga orthodontics is tooth. And prosthodontics, this is that branch of dentistry which pertains to the replacement of teeth and associated structures in order to restore form, function, as well as appearance, no? And the substitute is called a denture. We don't call it an appliance. Ortho is appliance. Sa prosto, any artificial device is called a denture. And ang difference ng appliance from a denture, appliance is something it will need to correct. Now, it is done in order to correct something. Whereas denture, it's supposed to replace even the function of the missing parts. No? And we call it dental prosthesis or simply a denture. Okay? So we have three divisions ng prosto, di ba? You have fixed, and then you have maxillofacial. Sometimes they call this surgical prosthodontics, no? Kasi it involves a little bit more surgery. Kaya ang mga mga nagpa-perform nitong branch ng prosto nito are called maxillofacial surgeon, usually maxillofacial prosthodontics. Now, this is concerned with the restoration of the stomatognatic system and associated structure that has been affected by disease, injury, or congenital defect. No? Very common congenital defect that we see is cleft palate. And ang device o yung denture, it's not called a denture. It's called an obturator, di ba? So pag sinabi mong, if sabi ng patient, I have an obturator, you know that the patient has what? Cleft palate. So this is specific for that particular congenital defect. Okay? And then you have removable, and removable can either be complete or partial. And that is our topic for today, RPD. So what is, okay lang ang pace ko? Am I doing fast? Okay. So what is an RPD? No? So this, when do you call it an RPD? So there are three important characteristics that makes your denture an RPD. One, it should replace teeth, and it has to be one or more, but not all. Or in cases of partially edentulous arches, and very important, which makes it different from a fix, is it can be removed by the wearer. That makes it an RPD. No? And according to specialists, a true RPD is a distal extension. Yun yung kinoconsider nila as true na RPD. No? Restoration of distal extension. And I'm sure you know what a distal extension is. Okay, no? So when we make dentures, actually doesn't have to be RPD. Whether it is fixed or CD, no? It must satisfy three important requirements. Kasi when the denture is placed inside the mouth of the patient, usually it's subjected to a lot of forces. No? Meron kang horizontal force, meron kang vertical force, and of course, we have your dislodging forces. And why are we designing? What's the purpose? Why are we so careful when we design our dentures? Kasi we don't want dentures to move. The moment the denture moves, it creates forces. And this characteristic of the denture should be able to resist or at least minimize the different forces once the RPD or the denture is placed inside the mouth of the patient. So what is resistance to horizontal forces? We call it stability, no? And in terms of the denture, fixed partial, kaya nga ang 'di ba, that is why the requirement or the recommendation is if your case is pwedeng fix. If it's a good candidate for fix and you had a choice between fix or RPD, we always go for a fix. Fix is always better. A well-constructed fixed partial denture is better than a well-constructed RPD. One is because it's more stable. Walang masyadong, in a fixed partial, it doesn't move too much. No? It doesn't have too much horizontal forces. So it's more easy to stabilize. Di ba you've encountered patients, sasabihin sa'yo, Doc, it's not removed. But when I eat, it moves. That means it's not stable. Mahirap ang stability for RPD, no? Especially if you have distal extension. Aangat at aangat yan especially for the lower. Because of what? Because of the floor, because of the tongue, no? It tends to move the denture away from the residual ridge. I always advise this, no? If you can preserve a posterior tooth, if you can prevent a distal extension, especially if it's lower, prevent a distal extension. Kasi it's so difficult to stabilize. I think you've experienced that, no? Ang hirap, ang complaint ng patient, di ba? What's the usual complaint ng patient? Upper, no problem. It's the lower. A lot of patient doesn't wear lower dentures. Why? What is the usual complaint? Gumagalaw. When I eat, it goes up. When I speak, it goes up. When I bite, it goes down. that means the denture lacks stability. Okay? Another is support, and support is resistance to vertical forces, no? So what is vertical forces? Every time you bite, di ba? Vertical, up and down, no? And sabi nila, or they say that in a fixed partial denture, kung meron mang force, usually it's just vertical. Up and down lang ang movement ng fixed. Kung mag-move man, if the fixed will move, no? A fixed partial, usually it's subjected to vertical forces. And what is retention? This is resistance to dislodging forces. And di ba sasabihin ng patient usually say, it doesn't get removed from my mouth. Di siya natatanggal. Pero gumagalaw siya. Kasi the moment you have your direct retainer, okay na yung retention mo. When you have your rest, no? More or less okay na yung support mo. But it's a different matter when it comes to stability. And if there is a force which is very damaging to the tissues of the oral cavity, usually it's horizontal forces. We don't like horizontal forces. Like kayo, di ba, pag nagbubunot kayo, you don't do it up and down. Di ba? You do it horizontal. Bucolingual. No? Para mag-dislodge. Horizontal force is bucolingual force. So, hindi maganda kung hindi stable ang denture. Support retention, mas madali. It's easier to achieve, no, in fixed partial as well as in RPD. Sa CD, medyo mahirap din. No? But in RPD, kasi may clasp nga tayo, so it's usually not a problem. But it's more of stability. And remember, kapag ang stable ang denture, whether it's CD or RPD, no, the denture is subjected to greater forces, usually damaging forces. That's why we don't like dentures to move, especially during function. Okay, am I clear? Excuse me. Okay, no? So sagot naman kayo para alam ko kung naintindihan o hindi. Okay, no? So we have different types of partial denture. One way classifying partial denture, di ba, it's based on the manner of support, no? And based on this, it can either be tooth-borne or tooth tissue-borne, no? I think clear naman yan. No? In a tooth-borne, your ridge or your edentulous space does not contribute to the support of the denture. All the forces that the RPD receive is transferred by the rest to the abutment tooth. Kaya nga, what type of support does your rest provide? It provides for tooth support. In a distal extension, support is it's distributed both to the tooth as well as to the tissue, yung residual ridge. Kaya nga in a distal extension or in cases of tooth tissue-borne partial denture, no, support, you have to distribute or distribute, no, the support coming from the tooth, and you get support coming from your tissue. So you call it a tooth tissue bond. And every time you have, you have a distal extension, kahit na isang tooth lang kunyari second molar lang ang missing, it's still classified as a distal extension, no? Or every time you have a long span, kahit pa ba, even if the tooth or even if the denture has a tooth anterior and posterior, if it's long span, it is still considered as a tooth tissue bond. And when you say tooth tissue bond, the support is distributed between the tooth through the abutment or through the rest, and it's distributed also to the tissue through the denture base. Bakit in CD? Wala ka namang clasp. Saan ka kumukuha ng support? How do we classify RPD? How do we classify fixed tooth supported siya, di ba? The ridge does not give you any support. CD, it's tissue supported. In an RPD, it can either be tooth-borne or tooth tissue-borne. Clear? Okay. No? And then, by the way, these are the differences between a tooth-borne and a tooth tissue-borne types of partial denture. We have two types of partial dentures. It can either be tooth-borne or tooth tissue-borne. And these are the support, no, or the differences between the two types. So they differ in terms of support, they differ in terms of method of impression registration. So in a tooth-borne, single impression, alginate impression is usually sufficient. Okay na siya. Kasi in a tooth-borne, you only need to record the abutment. Since the ridge does not give you any support, you don't have to get a good, hindi naman no, pero at least hindi, it's not that critical if you don't get a good impression of the tissue. Kasi wala ka naman nakukuha sa tissue. You don't get support coming from the tissue. But in case of a tooth tissue borne, no, you have to get a good impression not only of the tooth, and you have to get good impression of the tissue also. Kasi magkaiba sila eh, no? Tooth is fixed, no? In terms of movement, yung ipin kasi, 'di ba, ipin doesn't move, it's fixed. Ang ridge or the tissue is movable. And it's so difficult. You've experienced this, no? In a distal extension. Very difficult, especially kung supra-erupted yung abutment o yung tooth are supra-erupted. Very difficult to get a good impression or a good cast for the ridge. Kaya nga most of the time, no, ang recommendation for partial denture, if it's tooth tissue borne, you have to make an individual tray. Do you do individual tray for partial? Or most of the time, di ba, you just do one impression, alginate, no? But if it's a distal extension, no, or a long span anterior, you've experienced that, di ba? Ang hirap kunin ng impression. Yung kunyari, class 4, no? Tapos yung cuspid o premolar, very difficult to get a good impression of the, kahit anong press nyo, very difficult to get a good impression of the tissue. And usually, kaya nga, mas maganda, you make an individual tray. Customize the tray para you get a good impression of the tooth as well as the tissue. Okay? Another is need for some kind of indirect retention. What type of denture requires an indirect retainer? Tooth-borne, tooth tissue. Anybody? Kailan tayo naglalagay? When is the indirect retainer required in the design? Tooth-borne, tooth tissue. Anybody has an idea? Tooth tissue. Diba? We don't need an indirect retainer for a tooth-borne. Kaya nga ako, when I design my cases, first thing I do is I classify my denture. Do I design it as a tooth-borne or do I design it as a tooth tissue borne? And remember, no, the longer the edentulous area, as I've said, even if it is supported by a tooth, even if your classification is class 3, pero kung long span siya, usually it's treated as tooth tissue. And you have to design, or the design should be able to satisfy the requirements for a tooth tissue borne. And usually, isang requirement which makes it different, a tooth borne from a tooth tissue borne, is the use of an indirect retainer. Ginagamit ang indirect retainer if it's a tooth tissue borne. Why is an indirect retainer not usually required in a tooth borne? Kasi if you, I will discuss this later when we discuss indirect retainers, no? Kasi, di ba, why do we design the components, no? We design it to be able to control forces. And if your case is a tooth-borne, you have a support anterior posterior, no? Usually, no need for additional component. Di ba, number one rule in partial denture, you remember KISS? What is KISS? And that's the number one rule in RPD. What's KISS? Keep it simple. No? And the more components you put in your denture, the more component in the RPD, the more likely it becomes more complicated. Diba? The simpler, the less chances for you to make a mistake. And another rule in RPD. Remember, ang daming rules sa RPD, no? Another rule in partial dentures is what, no? No component should be added or removed unless it provides or it gives, no, yung function. Ba't ka maglalagay ng indirect retainer? Why do I need an indirect retainer if it doesn't do anything there? Wala lang, gusto ko lang. Hindi pwede yan sa RPD, di ba? Sabi nga nila, no? Everybody agrees there is no specific design for an RPD. We might have the same cases, but we design it differently. It depends on what do you think you need in the denture. And as long as it satisfies the requirement of support, retention, and stability, no, then it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable, hindi unacceptable, no, it's acceptable design. But no design is totally the same. Kaya nga ako nung I was teaching RPD before, no, so I don't have models. Hindi ako naglalagay ng models kasi I don't want student to think that this is the only design. You have to think for yourself. And hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng sasabihin nyo, you just say, wala lang, hindi ko alam para saan yan, no? When you put a component in your design, then if somebody asked you, or if a patient asks you, what is this for? Then you should be able to say, this is for this, no? And if it doesn't serve any purpose, why put it there in the design? The simpler the design, the better, kasi the less you'll commit a mistake. Okay? Question po? Am I clear? Okay. So keep it simple. Don't add, no? So when you think of your design, no? Para saan yan? It's always, I'll put a rest here. I'll put para saan? But it serves a specific purpose. In terms of why is acres? You call it acres, right? Simple acres, no? Another name for acres kasi it's called circlet, simple circlet. Okay, so when do we use acres? Di ba kapag tooth-borne? Ideally, no? Pag distal extension, what is the clasp that is usually required? Vertical projection, RPI, or bar type clasp. Okay? Kasi for a tooth-borne, the only thing that is required for the clasp is it should provide for retention. Kahit anong clasp. As long as it will provide for retention, it satisfies the requirement ng aesthetics. And yung retention, it's okay. Kahit anong clasp ang ilagay nyo dyan, it's okay. But in a distal extension, it has to be a specific type of clasp. No? Kasi the clasp should not be able, not only perform the function of retention, it must be able to dissipate, or it should not be capable of transferring horizontal forces on the tooth. Remember, as I've said, horizontal forces is very damaging to the tooth. Kaya nga sabi nila, they say that kung there is a component ng partial denture which is likely to extract or to remove the tooth, usually it's the clasp. If it's improperly designed clasp or improperly positioned. Kaya nga pag sa clasp, medyo maingat tayong mag-design. Diba? No problem with the major, the minor, no? Okay? Most of the time, ang problema nyo lang is, should I put an indirect retainer or not? Kailangan pa ba ako ng indirect retainer or not? Denture base, wala namang, usually no problem with that. When is the problem? What clasp should I use? And if it's distal extension, the clasp that is placed on a terminal abutment in a distal extension should be able to distribute forces, especially horizontal forces elsewhere, not on the tooth. Kaya hindi tayo gumagamit ng Akers clasp in a distal extension. Maganda ang Akers kung tooth-borne. Okay? And then you have denture-based material use, no? And mas recommended if it's tooth-borne, better to use metal. Whereas if it's tooth tissue borne, if your denture base is your edentulous area is tooth tissue, better to use acrylic. Kasi it's for the purpose kasi, diba, when do we use metal? If it's well healed, short span, no? Tooth borne. Kasi no matter how well healed the ridge is, if it's long span, it will always undergo recession and resorption. Kaya nga ang requirement nila for anterior, no, which kung titignan nyo, you see a lot of FPD, no, usually missing 4 incisors, tapos ang abutment is the cuspid. Actually, if you look at the book, it's not recommended. If it's a long span, class 4, no, ang recommendation nila is RPD. Kasi nga, it will undergo resorption. And pag nag-resorb ang bone, nagre-recede ang gums, ang tissues, no? And you will have to modify your dentures. And it's so difficult if your denture base is made of metal. So mas maganda ang denture base if it is a tooth-borne rather than if it is a distal extension. Kaya di ba pag may distal extension kayo, kahit na one tooth lang ang missing, you use what? You use acrylic. Diba? Use either mesh or ladder or lattice. Okay? Questions po? Okay. Now, another way of classifying partial denture is based on the form of attachment or based on the form of retainer. Diba? Retainer is the component which keeps your denture in place or keep the denture inside the mouth of the patient. And based on the form of retainer, partial dentures can either be intracoronal or what they call the key and the keyway, or sometimes they call it male and female attachment, or sometimes called precision attachment. So if you hear the word attachment in RPD, usually it refers to an intracoronal. No? And where the other one is called extracoronal, which is more common that we see, and that is what we do. No? Kasi it's cheaper, easier to fabricate, no? So mas madaling gawin, no? And the most common form of an extracoronal direct retainer is a clasp retain. The moment you put a clasp in your dentures, then that is an extracoronal. Intracoronal, no? This is usually meron siyang key, which is part of the partial denture, and then the keyway, which is placed on the abutment tooth. So one problem with the key and keyway or the precision attachment is it's a little expensive kasi you have to put a crown on the abutment. And then the keyway, or the female attachment is already placed, di ba, in the crown. Kaya lang, wala kang clasp arm. Aesthetically, wala kang clasp arm. Kasi where is the retention? Wala kang arms. So you don't see metal because it has a crown. Pwedeng onlay. But you cannot, in a precision attachment, no, you have to place the keyway on the crown, which is cemented on the abutment or on the onlay, no? Pwedeng onlay, parang 3/4 crown, full crown, depending on what you want, no? And then it's already there. And then yung keyway or the key is attached to the dentures. And the principle, how does an intracoronal direct retainer produce its effect? This is based on the principle of parallelism, just like in a PD. Why is it important that more or less your preparation is parallel? Diba it adds retention. And in a key and keyway, no, or male and female attachment, how is retention produced? This is based on the principle of parallelism between the walls of the key and the keyway. Kailangan parallel siya. Okay? Question po? Okay. No? Whereas an extracoronal direct retainer, so how does a clasp provide retention? What's the principle behind your clasp? When we design clasp, bakit may clasp? The patient will ask you, why do I need clasp? Di ba nasisira the tooth where you place your clasp or where the dentist put the clasp, usually it's the first thing that gets destroyed or gets caries, no? But we need clasp. And kasi it's the one that provides for retention. But don't be too dependent on the clasp for retention. No? At maraming factors that can contribute to the retention. Bakit in CD? Wala namang clasp. How come it's retained? So don't be too dependent on the clasp for retention. There are other ways of gaining retention for an RPD. The easiest na lang siguro will be a clasp, no? But the clasp should be placed properly, di ba? You remember? No. So, di ba when we make clasp, no, the retentive tip, which is the only flexible part of the clasp, is placed below the survey line or below the height of contour because these areas are called undercut areas. And a clasp, the tip of your clasp should be placed in the undercut area or below the height of contour. And clasp produces its effect through the principle of resistance ng metal to deformation. Why is the tip required to become flexible? Diba? The retentive tip, hello, masyado ba akong mabilis? Hello? Okay lang? Kasi hindi kayo kumikibo eh. Okay lang ako ha? Okay. No? So this is based on the principle ng resistance to deformation. No? Why do we need to place the retentive tip below the height of contour? And why is the retentive tip required to become flexible? Because as it goes, whenever you're putting the denture in and out, it passes through the height of contour. Diba? Pag pinapasok yung clasp, dadaan yan sa height of contour. Pag tinatanggal yung clasp, dadaan yan sa height of contour. And for the clasp to pass through the height of contour, it has to undergo deformation. Kailangan mag-deform. Bumuka yung clasp. Kaya kailangan siya flexible. Kasi kung hindi, if your clasp tip is not flexible, hindi yan siya dadaan sa undercut. So if the denture is being placed, once it passes through the height of contour, has to open up a little, dadaan sa height of contour, then engages the undercut below the height of contour. Pag tinatanggal mo din, or whenever there is a dislodging force, para dumaan siya sa height of contour, it undergoes deformation. And the resistance to deformation creates the retention. Kaya nga, walang, if you, di ba, when we design clasp, no, you have to know where is the height of contour. How do you know that you position your clasp properly? If you don't know where is the height of contour, where are the undercut areas? Kaya baka yung clasp mo kaya natatanggal, no? How come your clasp is nare-remove? Baka it's not placed in the undercut. So kasi kung wala siya sa undercut, if your clasp tip is not in the undercut, pag may dislodging force, it doesn't have to undergo deformation eh. So it doesn't provide you retention. Kaya kung meron mang procedure, which is very important, it's in the direct retainer, yung clasp. Dapat nagsisurvey mo na. No, sinisurvey mo na yung abutment before nagdi-design ng clasp. And very important in the proper positioning, proper placement of your clasp, dapat alam nyo na yung height of contour. So that you can place your clasp, the components properly in relation to the height of contour. Alam naman natin yan, you know that. You have to look for the height of contour first. Because you cannot position your class. You don't expect your class to be positioned properly kung hindi nyo alam. Tama ba? Nasa undercut ka ba? O wala ka ba sa undercut? And please remember, di ba? If there is a component which goes into the undercut area, it's the retentive tip. And the tip should be flexible so that it can go in and out of the height of contour. Okay? Question po, that's the difference between internal and intraoral and extraoral. Bakit sa extraoral, you need the height of contour? Why, how come in intracoronal, you don't need any height of contour? Kasi nandun yan sa attachment. The retention is provided by the attachment. Okay. The third way of classifying RPD is based on purpose. No? So you can also classify RPD based on purpose. Is it temporary? And we know what is temporary. Or is it permanent? And what is considered as permanent is your one piece, yung metal framework. In a permanent denture, di ba, everything is metal except the denture base and the pontics. In temporary, yung assemblage, or sometimes they call it assembled, or sometimes meron silang tinatawag na stipplate, pero ang stipplate, 1 or 2 piece lang ang nire-replace. No? Ang purpose ng stipplate is usually for as an interim denture. No? So, everything is acrylic, probably except for your clasp. So that is what we call assemblage or assembled, and it's a temporary one. No? And if you look at McCracken, wala siyang temporary. It's all permanent. Okay? So maganda pa rin ang permanent. Pero may mga cases that we cannot use one piece. No? And then, ang hirap mag-fit ng one piece, di ba? Especially pag hindi maganda ang laboratory or yung pag-process ng lab. Unlike assemblage, kasi nga acrylic. No? So, ang dali-daling mag-fit. So easy to troubleshoot an acrylic. Whereas ang metal, kasi ang hirap sa one piece, pag hindi siya nag-fit, hindi siya mag-fit. And please lang ha, future clinician of future dentists, future colleagues in the profession. Pag hindi nag-fit ang one piece nyo, huwag niyong bawasan yung ipin. Do you do that? Ayaw mag-fit ng one piece. So, nang binabawasan? Yung ipin. Don't do that. Kaya tayo nagma-mouth prep eh. Diba? You do mouth prep before you make your RPDs. No, your one piece. And hindi dapat it's not the mouth of the patient that adjusts to the denture. It's the denture that adjusts to the mouth. Kumisan kasi, diba, tell me if I'm wrong, no? Hindi mag-fit yung one piece nyo, what do? Bawas ka ng ipin, which is not proper. Dapat yung denture ang nag-a-adjust. Okay? And assemblage or temporary dentures can either be interim, transitional, or treatment. Actually, this is just based on the how do we use the assemblage. Interim means naghihintay ka lang. Well, let's say, for example, it's interim is parang short time, no? Parang kunyari it's really a fix. It's better for a fix or your treatment plan. No, your treatment is actually an FPD. Kaya lang the patient is still young, you're still waiting for the proper time to construct your denture, no? Interim ang tawag doon. Transitional is you make adjustments to the denture until you can come up with a more permanent one. Like for example, CD ang treatment mo, but the patient doesn't like walang ipin, doesn't like to have no teeth. So every time you extract a tooth, every time you make changes on the mouth of the patient, you also adjust the denture. They call it transitional. And then treatment is you use the denture to for application ng mga treatment, no? Diba, the most common problem that we see associated with an ill-fitting denture, diba, is epulis fissuratum. And the fastest and the most recommended way of removing epulis is to do it surgically. But if the patient doesn't like or the patient cannot tolerate surgical, so sometimes nilalagyan mo na yan ng gamot, medication. Yung mga soft reliner, tissue conditioner, nilalagay yan doon, no? So that it helps the tissue to heal. Kasi alam natin, di ba? We know that you don't put denture on a movable tissue. Gagalaw lang yung denture natin, no? So it has to be placed in firm ayaw mo ng flabby na tissue. Usually kailangan yung tissue mo. Kaya tayo nagtatanggal ng epulis kasi you want it on a steady, firm yung tissue to put your dentures. And sometimes there are sobrang tissues, no? And patient cannot tolerate surgery. So may mga naman, 'di ba? May mga tissue conditioner, soft reliners, no? And it helps it helps heal the tissue. And they use the temporary denture to put the medication dun sa mouth ng patient so that the medication stays long in the tissue, no, in the mouth of the patient. So they call it treatment. Okay? Any questions so far? Clear? Okay. Walang tanong, ha? So if you have question, kung merong malabo dun sa explanation, para hindi na tayo babalik. Okay, no? So I think this is the benefits. No need to explain, no? And when is an RPD indicated? When are the recommended indication ng RPD? Siyempre, kung hindi, no? Siyempre, di ba? If you cannot put a fix, no choice, RPD ka, no? And most of the time, why is patient not too keen, no, on an FPD? The fact na you're going to reduce the tooth, no? Tapos, anterior and posterior, parang, di ba? So, in terms of conservation ng tooth structure, yun yung problem with FPD, no? So, and alam mo, yung ibang prosthodontists, they say that ultimately daw, FPD will be, hindi na daw siya, ang tawag dito, how do I put it? It will be eliminated, no? Kasi nga, ang trend is towards implants. At least sa implants kasi, no? You don't need to prepare the abutments. So, lalo na kung single tooth, nakakahinayang na maglagay ng FPD. I don't know about you, no? That is, yun yung isang problem ko with an FPD, no? And ang maganda sa RPD kasi, kahit anong case, di ba? Pwede ka ng RPD. FPD merong specific, very specific ang indications ng FPD. Not all cases would, kahit pa ba tooth-borne yan, no? Not all cases can receive an FPD. Unlike RPD. Hindi pwede ang FPD, RPD, no? And these are the usual indications. Long span. So whenever you have a long span, distal extension, tooth tissue-borne RPD, tooth tissue-borne cases, better ang RPD, no? Another indication, if you need to restore soft or hard tissue contours. Kasi ang FPD hindi nalalagyan ng denture base. So if the tissue is so receded, kung minsan mas maganda ang RPD. Another is need for cross-arch stabilization. Ang maganda with RPD, because you use the major connector, no? The left side helps to stabilize the right side. The right side helps to stabilize the fact na it crossed the midline. And you use the palate or you use your lingual tissue in the lower. No? It helps stabilize the denture. Tsaka it helps distribute. Sa FPD kasi, di ba sa FPD, you have to have very good abutments. Kasi tooth-borne siya. Everything is borne by the tooth-borne. In a tooth tissue-borne, in an RPD, you can make your design tooth tissue. Yung hindi kaya ng ipin, forces which the tooth, you think the tooth cannot absorb, you put it in the tissue. Para, especially horizontal forces, no? Para mas maganda ang distribution. And that is called cross-arch stabilization. Okay? So, extension basis, no? And this is what I'm saying, anterior aesthetics, no? They say that if you have long span, even yung 4 incisors missing, you look at the book, or you look at, theoretically kasi ang dami kong nakikitang FPD, no? So, ang gusto ni McCracken, you put RPD. Kasi nga, ang presumption is magre-recede at magre-recede. And you will have to adjust. So, if you have anterior aesthetics or kasi pag nag-recede, di ba, kung RPD ka, kung nag-recede, dagdagan mo yung dentures, the denture base. In an FPD, you cannot do that. You have to make a new one. And sometimes, di ba, kapag receded na yung tissue, anterior tissues, or the tissues in the anterior portion, the pontic appears to be longer than the adjacent tooth. So, in terms of aesthetics, mas maganda ang RPD. Okay? And then, other requirements. I think this is clear, di ba? Absence kapag you don't have enough tooth support. No? Remember Antes law? For every one missing tooth, you need, ano yung sabi ni Antes law? The periodontal support of the abutment should be twice the periodontal support of the missing tooth. Kaya nga, hindi tayo pwede ng cantilever, di ba? So, and how can you do that how can you do that in a distal extension? How can you do that kung long span ka? Mas madami yung missing tooth kesa sa abutment mo. Ang advantage, yung hindi kaya ng ipin, bigay mo sa tissue. You make a tooth tissue bone. Okay? Questions po? No problem? Okay. No? So let's go to Kennedy's classification. So, for an acceptable method of classifying or classification for RPD, no? It should satisfy 3 requirements. Siguro, in a way, Kennedy's is considered to be universally accepted, no? Kasi it satisfies all the basic requirement. One is one requirement for a classification system. Actually, maraming classification system in RPD. But the most universally accepted, di ba, it's Kennedy's. No? One requirement ng classification system, it should permit immediate visualization. Di ba? Pag tinignan nyo yung case nyo, alam na alam nyo. You look at your cast or you look at the case. You know if it's tooth-borne or is it tooth tissue-borne. Right? Tignan mo pa lang yung case mo, alam mo na kung tooth-borne siya or tooth tissue-borne siya sa Kennedy's. No? Another is it should immediately differentiate tooth-borne from tooth tissue-borne. And of course, it should be universally accepted. No? And what's the basis for Kennedy's classification? Diba, Engel's classification is based on first permanent molar relation. So what about Kennedy's? What's the basis for Kennedy's classification? Anong tinitignan para ma-classify mo yung case? Nobody remembers? Mr. Limas, do you remember? Anong tinitignan natin in a Kennedy's classification? Anong ginagamit nyo for basis? How do you know if it's class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, mod 1, mod 2? What do we use to classify your cases? We look at what? We look at the edentulous spaces, diba? We don't look at the tooth. We look at the edentulous space. Where does it fall? Where is it located? No? Is it anterior? Is it posterior? Is it what? Is the edentulous space bilateral or unilateral? Does it have abutment tooth on both sides? No? So we look at the edentulous space, diba? Kennedy's classification is based on the location of your edentulous spaces. No? And what is class 1, Kennedy? It's what? Posterior siya, di ba? Class 1 is posterior. What's the characteristic of a class 1? Kailangan bilateral. So dalawa. You have 2 distal extension, no? And just for recap, I'm sure alam niyo naman what's a distal extension. Distal extension, you don't have a tooth more posterior to the edentulous space, no? So kailangan para maging class 1 for the classification system to be class 1 has to be bilateral. Both sides. Left and right. And it should be what? Both distal extension. So you have bilateral distal extension. Kung isa lang ang distal extension, you only have one side, we call it class 2. Class 3 is single, which means isa lang, but it has a tooth, no? It has a tooth anterior and posterior to the edentulous space, no? And usually, class 1, by the way, is what? Tooth-borne, tooth tissue. How will you classify a class 1? Yes. Class 1 is what? Yes, very good. It's tooth tissue, Miss Hong. It's tooth tissue. So every time you have a class 1, you design it na tooth tissue siya. And remember, kapag tooth tissue, better to use an indirect retainer. Kung pwede kang maglagay, isang essential in the design of a tooth tissue borne is it should have what? It should have an indirect retainer. What about class 2? Miss Hong? Miss Kimberly? It's what? It's also what? Tooth tissue. So, kailangan may indirect. But this time, no? Kasi every time you have a distal extension, you always use the distal extension. Iba may rule, the most posterior edentulous spaces is used in the classification, and every time you have a distal extension, it is always posterior. So kung nalilito pa rin kayo, ang titignan nyo, nasaan yung edentulous space. And you try to describe the edentulous space. So kung may distal extension siya, titignan mo lang kung unilateral siya or bilateral siya. Kung bilateral, di class 1. Kung unilateral siya, isa lang siya. It's class 2. And kung meron kayong distal extension, if the case has a distal extension, kahit isang ipin, even if it's just the second molar and the third molar which is missing, the fact that it is a distal extension, then it is classified as a tooth tissue bone. So titignan nyo na lang kung unilateral or bilateral siya. Kasi kung unilateral, class 2. Kung bilateral, class 1. So madali naman yung tandaan eh. Baliktad, di ba? Pag class 2, 2, pero isa lang ang distal extension mo. Pag class 1, dalawa. So baliktad. Ewan ko bakit ganun yung description ni Kennedy. So pag class 1, dapat dalawa. Kapag class 2, isa lang. And then you have class 3. Class 3 is what? Tooth bone, tooth tissue. Yes, it is what? Tooth-borne. Yes, Mr. James. It's tooth-borne. Kasi the fact na may ipin ka anterior and posterior, so basically, it's tooth-borne. Yun lang, remember, if it's long span, if it's long span, kasi pag long span kasi, ibig sabihin nun, what does it mean? If it's a long span, that means you don't have enough tooth or teeth remaining for abutment. So kahit na, and then pag long span, magre-recede at magre-recede. That is why it's still considered as tooth tissue. What about class 4? What's class 4? According to the, yes, Ms. Wong, it's according to the number of, it's according to the length of the edentulous. So, di ba pag ang missing mo lang is 1, 1, 1, 2? No? 1, 1, 1, 2. Is it class 4? Missing ang 1, 1, 1, 2. Will you consider that as class 4? What is class 4? Diba? Class 4 is single, but bilateral, edentulous area located anterior. So kung ang missing is 1, 1, 1, 2, is it class 4 or class 3? Based on the based on the definition or the description of what is it? Class 1, class 4 or class 3? Class 3. Kasi why? Because it did not cross the midline. For a class 4, it has to cross the midline. Kung 1, 1, 2, 1. How will you classify it? 1, 1, 2, 1. Class, yes, Miss Hong, it's class 4. Kasi nag-cross na siya ng midline. So, dapat alam niyo yung description, ng what is the different classification. Okay. So, when class 4 depende, di ba? Depende on the edentulous. Kasi the longer the edentulous spaces, the more it becomes a tooth tissue bone. Don't tell me, missing lang, let's say, the only tooth teeth present is 1, 7, 1, 7, 2, 7, 1, 7, 2, 7. class 4 siya. Pero tooth-borne ba yan? Diba it's tooth tissue-borne. So you design it as if it's a tooth tissue-borne. Kasi nga, the longer your edentulous anterior space, the more it becomes a tooth tissue-borne. Ang presumption then is, kasi the longer the edentulous space, the more it will recede. Okay. When we discuss or when we talk of Kennedy's, we should also know we should also be able to apply Applegate's rule. And the first rule is classification should follow rather than precede any extraction. Kasi it might alter the original classification. Okay. Class 2, rule number 2. If the third molar is missing and not to be restored, ano siya? Considered, not considered? If the third molar is to be missing and not to be restored, we don't restore the third molar, right? So should it be considered or not considered in the classification? Yes, Miss Bovado. It's not considered in the classification. Ang rule kasi, if you're not going to restore that space, you don't have any edentulous space. Kung wala ka namang ipapalit at hindi mo naman siya papalitan, wala kang space. Wala kang denture. And ang third molar is not it is not restored anyway. So you don't put any pontics or any denture on that space. So it's not considered. So this is what? This is class 2, modification 2. Bakit class 2? You only have one distal extension, but hindi bilateral. Kasi 8 yung kabilang side, and you don't restore the 8. Walang space. Walang missing tooth kung 8. Don't tell me maglalagay kayo ng pontic dun sa 8. Diba? You don't do that, no? So, wala siyang space. Okay? Rule number 3. If the third molar is present and to be restored, ang rule kasi, no? Sabi nga ni Dr. Concepcion, the late Dr. Concepcion, if you can use the third molar, use the third molar as an abutment. If you can prevent a distal extension by using the third molar as an abutment, use the third molar. And if you're going to use the third molar as an abutment, lalagyan mo siya ng pontic, then what? It should be considered in the classification. Kaya, ang hirap, di ba? Kunyari, third molar ang ipin mo. Third molar yung, ang alam ko sa board exams kasi you're asked to bring a cast. Before I'm not sure kung may changes, no? You bring a cast with the third molar and then they will tell you what to knock down. And I don't know, no? May iba kasi nagsasabi, sabi yata ng yung mga, no, you ask na lang those who took the board exams, no? Kasi may review centers yata, I don't know kung review centers ang nagsasabi. Don't use the third molar. Pag hindi mo ginamit ang third molar as an abutment, do you consider it in your classification? Iba kasi ang design sa classification. Di ba? When it comes to the design, no? Sometimes it depends on how you classify it. So, kung kunyari hindi mo ginamit yung 7, missing ang 8, tapos missing ang 7. Hindi mo present ang 8, pero hindi mo ginamit ang 8 as an abutment. Di ba? Siyempre, kung ang missing mo lang is 7 on one side, o 7 ka lang, tapos anterior di ba ang hirap i-design nun? Anterior missing ka. Tapos sa posterior, 7 lang ang missing. Kaya kung minsan mas mabuti pang i-fix mo na lang yung, kaya lang 8 yung abutment mo. So it's quite difficult to design. And it depends on how you look at your case. Di ba? Should I or should I not use the third molar? If I use the third molar, the rule is you consider it in the classification. But what if you did not use the third molar as an abutment? Present siya, but hindi mo siya ginamit. How will you classify it? Na nagsasabi kasi na dapat daw, I don't know because hindi naman ako friends with the board examiners, no? Ang naririnig ko lang yung mga no? But I don't know how they consider it, no? So tawag dito, should you or should you not consider the third molar? Hindi mo naman siya ginamit. Kunyari, missing ang 7. Missing ang 7 on both sides. May anterior ka. How will you classify that? Missing ang 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, and then missing ang 1, 7, 2, 7. May 8. How will you classify it? Theoretically, based on the classification. Class 1, mod 1. This, Mr. Ephraim, this is what? If you use the third molar or not? Ba't ayaw nyong mag-mic? Wala kayong mic? If what? If you don't use the third molar, you don't consider it. Yes, it's class 1, mod 1. Kasi bilateral distal extension ka. Pag ginamit yung third molar, how will you classify it?
Class 3 mod.
Ginamit mo. Class?
Class 3 mod.
Class 3 mod?
2.
Class 3 mod 2. Diba? Kasi nga, you have 2 additional spaces. Class 3 kasi isa lang naman ang edentulous space in class 3. So any other spaces, diba, aside from the one which is considered in the classification are considered as modification. Okay, very good. Okay. So rule number 4 is if the second molar is missing and not to be restored, it is not considered in the classification. Kasi nga, ang premise is, if you're not going to restore it, you don't have an edentulous space. But unlike the third molar, the only reason for not restoring the 7 is if it doesn't have an occluding. No? So, you always restore the second molar. We always presume na may ka-occlude. Unlike the third molar, di ba? Ang third molar, kaya may ka-occlude, kaya walang ka-occlude, we do not restore the third molar. But if it's the 7 who is missing, okay? So, we should always restore the 7. Kaya siya class 1. Okay. So it's the most posterior edentulous space which determines the classification. So you always look at your posterior space when you classify. Tignan nyo muna kung you try to look at the posterior space and you try to describe your posterior spaces. And remember, kapag class 3, unilateral lang siya. Kahit class 3 pa yung kabilang side, di ba? Modification space na yan. Because ang class 3, one space. one unilateral space. So, rule number 6, the most identulous area other than those which is used in the classification are called modification spaces. And it doesn't matter if it's big or if it's long or short. Basta it's one space, it's one number. We just count, di ba? We just count the number of additional spaces. And last rule is there can be no modification for a class 4. Why? Because there is a previous. Rule number 5 says that the most posterior abutment or the most posterior edentulous area determines the classification. So kung meron kang modification space in a class 4, it is always posterior. It will always be located posterior to the edentulous space. And that is the one that we use in the classification. So you always look at your cast sa posterior towards the anterior. Don't look at it anterior paano, no? You look at your cases from the posterior going towards the anterior. So kahit may class 4 ka, may anterior ka, kung may posterior ka, it's the posterior that will determine the classification. So this can never be a class 4 mod. Class 4 is class 4, no? So it's always the posterior which determines the classification. Nauna kasi yung rule number 5 sa rule number 8. Okay. So clear na tayo sa classification. Okay. So let's go to the components. So briefly, no? We have different components. So we have the major, minor, direct, indirect, receipts or res, and you have your denture bases. So briefly, no, what's the major connector? This is the unit ng partial denture that connects the left and the right side of the arch. And in the denture, we only have one major connector. That is why it's called a one piece, called one denture. And you have minor connector, any component that attaches another component to the major connector, di ba? Ang main function ng minor connector is to connect another component. Any component that attaches another component to the major connector is called a minor connector. And ang one aside from the major connector being connecting the left and the right, di ba? Ang ano dyan, di ba, is all component should be attached to the major connector, either directly or indirectly. And the component which attaches another component to the major connector or to the major connector, either directly or indirectly, is a minor connector. Okay. And then you have your direct retainer. No? So it could either be intracoronal, extracoronal, and what's the purpose of the direct retainer? Kasi nga, retainer siya. This is to satisfy the requirement of retention. And then you have the indirect retainer, which is the component which only assists the direct retainer in preventing movement of an extension base away from the residual ridge by functioning through lever action opposite the fulcrum line. And it is the tooth tissue bone where the indirect retainer is usually essential. No? If there is a component which is usually or most of the time not really seen or hindi kailangan, it's the indirect retainer. So may mga cases that does not require an indirect retainer, especially if it's a tooth bone. And of course, you know what the denture base is. Okay. Questions? Any questions so far? Are we good? We're okay? Okay. Let's go to the... So walang tanong? Walang tanong? Okay.